Hi, my name is Deja Geigers, and this is my presentation over domestic violence. What is domestic violence? Domestic violence is the abusive behavior in a relationship used by a partner to gain or maintain power and control over another. It is also referred to as family violence, intimate partner violence, and even home violence. Victims can be spouses or partners in the sexual, dating, or intimate nature, family members, children, cohabitants who suffers from physical, sexual, emotional, economic, and or psychological abuse, as well as threats, stalking, and cyberstalking. Offenders can be anyone intimate in the victim's life. Domestic violence, the victim may not take action when they are being abused and controlled. It also includes child abuse when the child live in the home, which can take away from their childhood by disrupting their social developments and alter their perspective on right and wrong. The victim's personality changes due to the abuse, such as turning an extroverted personality into an introverted one. Victims have to be prepared as their abuser's actions can be unpredictable, which can be fatal depending on the extent of the abuse. And most victims of this crime tend to be females. 1 in 15 children are exposed to intimate partner violence each year, and 90% of these children are eyewitnesses to this violence. In the long run, children who are exposed to violence at home are much more likely to perpetrate the cycle of abuse in their own relationships as they grow into adulthood than a child who is not exposed. Abuse is common for women between the ages of 16 and 24, as well as poor women. When death is involved, women are the victim 3 out of 4 times. Hispanic and Black women report domestic violence at the highest rate, which is approximately 65 to 67% of reported abuse. In the case of white women, only about 50% of the abuse is reported. Black women experience most abuse and they are the most likely to report it. The effects are generally social withdrawal, depression, anxiety, loss of interest in school, friends, and or things that they enjoyed in the past. The effects for adolescents specifically are drug or alcohol abuse, skipping school, changes in peer groups, new rebellious or oppositional behavior, and declining grades. The effects for young children are increased fear, sleeping problems, including nightmares or bedwetting, increased aggression, spending more time alone, fighting at home or at school, bullying or being bullied, and changes in appetite. Criminal offenses varies as a person can get involved with various crimes rather than specific crimes. Some of the offenses can be sexual offenses, underage drinking, and community vandalism. The abuser often wants control and maintain a person they can abuse. They are sometimes a product of domestic violence as well. Domestic violence is a learned violence which causes a child to spiral out of control, starting with behavior problems which can lead to delinquency once they have met the right people. This is more likely to happen when the home and community are influencing the bad behavior rather than trying to correct it. Society is lenient and not strict enough to prevent domestic violence from happening because the victim is likely to be blamed for their own abuse and nothing happens to the abuser due to the courts not handing out a sufficient punishment and the lack of proactiveness in the community. There's little to no data over domestic violence because it is a behind closed doors problem, which causes children to imitate what they see, therefore creating a cycle. When there is a report, it is likely to be underestimated and not taken seriously. The best ways to prevent domestic violence are to look for signs of abuse, help from friends and family, domestic violence shelters, leaving the relationship, domestic violence hotlines, and community meetings. These meetings will help because any issues can be brought to the table and the community can rectify them as a unit. Domestic violence can be very damaging to an individual if it is not stopped. It is a continuous cycle and problem causing delinquency with long term effects unless properly intervened.